Hello, everyone. My name is Ariel Finfrock, and this is my final presentation for the Budget and Finance class. And my topic that I've chosen is the CPR review process, or Consolidated Program Review. So I initially decided to focus on what we covered in Module 3, the Perkins Grant, since that was my greatest area of learning that I needed to do. And the two specific topic area outcomes that I chose are determine what areas within a CPR review are connected to CTE fiscal responsibility and prepare documentation, and compile program evidence in preparation for consolidated program review, methods of administration, and state auditor's office audits and reviews. So my primary concerns after completing Module 3 were a lot of technical questions around how to complete the consolidated program review. I wanted to gain a better understanding of where to find the documents I would need for a CPR audit and how to go about compiling them. So I decided that for this presentation, I would walk us through where to find the CPR combined checklist, which sections apply to CTE, what are those specific 7 items within that section, and then what kind of documentation will I need to provide for each section. So I'm going to bounce around some screens here. Let's start off with the first question. Where do I find the CPR combined checklist? Well, you go to the OSPI website and you find their consolidated program review page, which is under the policy and funding tab. So let me just get that opened for us. All right, so from this page, over in the corner here, there's resources, and what we want is the CPR combined checklist for 2022-2023. Now the next question is, which section of this very long checklist applies to CTE? It's huge. The answer is it's on page 50. So I just did a Control F for Perkins, and that's how I found it in here. But here it is on page 50, Career Technical Education, section 12. So I actually have another copy of this already open that I did some highlighting in. So let's get that opened up. Now in section 12, there are 7 items that you need to cover. So as a CT director, you'd be responsible for submitting these. And we learned a little bit about this in Module 3, but I just wanted to go into some more detail and cover all 7 sections. So the first section, 12.1, is assurances and plan approval. So for this section, you would need to provide the Perkins assurances from the grant application, as well as the minutes from the school board meeting where that CTE for your planning requirement or the district-wide plan was approved. For 12.2, this is the state CTE approval / frameworks. So for this section, you would need to provide a list of all CTE courses currently offered. And then one important note is that program approval signature pages with signatures for each program offered are needed. That way they know that each of those courses has been approved by OSPI. For that section, you also need to provide a framework for each program area. So it doesn't have to be all your frameworks, but one framework for each program area that you offer. Next section, 12.3. This is the community and educational partnerships and program evaluation section. For this, you would need to provide all of the advisory committee meeting minutes from the previous school year. So that's something that my CTE director is always vigilant about, making sure that at those advisory meetings, we are getting signatures and saving that document with the minutes. Got to have signed attendance. And then the complete advisory committee membership roster. So that's got to include the member names and their specific stakeholder group that they represent. You will also need for this section the program evaluations for each of the programs offered. So that's something that the CTE director will sign and will want to get signatures from the advisory committee. But depending on how your school does it, it's a good idea to have teachers involved in this process too. So at my school, we as CTE teachers are have a big role in creating those program evaluations and then getting them signed. Next, section 12.4, this is the special population section. And for this one, you need to provide a copy of your class/course level CTE enrollment report. So the entire report of who is enrolled in your CTE courses with identifications of gender, race, and special populations. Everyone needs to provide that one. You only have to apply or have to submit 12.4B. So this next one, if you received Perkins funding, and then the last one, 12.4C, you also have to submit no matter what. So this one is evidence of how the district is addressing barriers. This is a range of options for how you document this, and you only have to choose one, but you can take photographs of modifications or instructional aids. You could provide examples of modified curriculum. You could provide special education transition plans, documentation of internship work. So lots of options in there to choose from. Then the last section, C, evidence of support offered to CTE students. So there are lots of different ways that students in our CTE programs receive support. What stood out to me here, probably the simplest one that I would grab would be a 504 plan or IEP plan for a student with special needs in a CTE class. And then 12.5, this section is about CTE personnel. For this one, you need to provide evidence that lists that. So you're trying to provide evidence that the instructors hold current CTE certificates. So you need all the names of your instructors with their certificate number, type of certificate, issue date, expiration date, V codes, SIP codes, and local course title. And then if you have teachers teaching on conditional certificates, there's an extra step there. You need to provide evidence that that person is qualified to teach what they're teaching. So that could include a posting of the position and the advisory committee minutes indicating that they approved that staff member. And then for conditional certificate holders only, again, you need to provide a written training plan that shows that they are gaining better proficiency or working toward their certification. 12.6, this is leadership, employability, and extended learning opportunities. So for this one, you must provide a list of CTSOs that are career technical student organizations, and then official membership rosters for students, showing the students in those CTSOs, the charter letter or paid invoice showing that you have paid your dues and you're officially a chapter, and then a program of work for the CTSO. So program of activities, or POA is another name for that. You also need to provide documentation of any work-based learning opportunities. So this could be training agreements, service learning plans, or work-based learning documented hours, and then documentation that staff are provided pay and time to be supervising those leadership opportunities. So a supplemental contract stands out to me as the easiest thing that we have, but some schools might have a release period or a bargaining agreement language that you might include. Last section, 12.7, post-secondary opportunities and programs of study. So for this one, you want to show that you have dual credit or concurrent enrollment programs for all of your classes. So that would be articulation agreements or dual credit. And then you want a program of study. So that's the sequence of classes that students can follow in a particular pathway. And you want to make sure that those courses are also documented on your Perkins application. And lastly, you need to have industry recognized credentials or IRCs or dual credit for all of your preparatory courses. And that gets documented in a spreadsheet that lists all the courses by zip code with IRC and dual credit opportunity offered. So that brings me to my references. These are the sources that I used during this work. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that this helped to prepare you for a CPR review.